Hello, Hans. Tell my audience
Hi.
about your film Absolution. What's it about? What do you think people will like about this movie?
Uh, there's lots to like about it. I it's a portrait of a deeply flawed man who's an aging criminal. He's mid-level yeah, criminal, ordinary guy, and who rather late in life has to address and take stock of how he's lived his life. There's some absolutely magnificent performances in it, first and foremost by Liam Neeson. I think for people who enjoy watching Liam Neeson, it's a very special and an unusual performance, because unlike in many, this is not, you know, nonstop adrenaline-filled action entertainment. And I think people shouldn't expect that. It's uh, it's about more about the character and but it's a very interesting study of or interesting portrait of a man who's magnificent and magnificently portrayed by Liam. Um, so if you like watching Liam Neeson, I think that aspect of it is absolutely terrific, and he's surrounded by wonderful actors and actresses as well. Um Yolanda Ross and Frankie Shaw, Ron Perlman. So in a way, it's an ensemble, but they're real people. It's not. Yeah, I don't think
Yes.
you should. I don't think you should go watch this and think that it's just
It's not
adrenaline
John
pumping.
Wick 5.
No,
No.
that it ain't. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to talk to Yolanda Ross about this. It was great to chat with her, and she gives a great performance. And she told me she knew Liam Neeson before, but tell me what it's like to work with Liam Neeson on just a day-to-day sort of mundane level.
Well, both Liam and I are grown guys, so and we've been working in this film business for many years, both of us. Obviously, he's famous. He's done, I don't know, 120, 30, 40 films or something like that. Uh, it's I am truly grateful to Liam for having so completely embraced this character and given it his fullest. It's a very brave performance. He's a vulnerable and not altogether sympathetic guy, the character he plays. Uh, but Liam, I think if you still at this, it's because you like the work. You like going to work. Uh, and I think, as with any great actor, he knows that you have to do the work every time. I mean, there are no shortcuts, so it's he's a joy to work with.
Yeah, Yolanda told me he's very generous, which is nice to know. One thing that he does in this movie that expresses his character, I think, beautifully is how he drinks, how he just holds a glass. Do you
Mhm.
agree? Please tell people about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy with a drinking problem, or he drinks more than he should, and he does it for a reason. And just the way that he drinks, you tell that it's not his first time in so it's almost like it's yeah, it's an incorporated part of his personality and of his everyday life. He comes home, the first thing he does is have a drink, He, um, so I think it's like a lubricant in his life in order to make the days go by. And he's not, he's a lonely guy. Um, he's burnt a lot of bridges, a lot of doors are closed behind him. So the interesting part of this film is really watching how he deals with being confronted with his own shortcomings, with his own mistakes, with his own, life that how he's conducted his life, and it's occasionally painful, sometimes funny, uh, and and he's deeply human in that he makes mistakes, but I think it's interesting to see him try. So in many ways, it's the effort that he makes that makes it interesting and unpredictable. What are the choices that he makes? He's not a guy who's used to examining his own actions and his own behavior.
All right. And how much longer do you think Liam Neeson will make these action movies? And do you think of this film as an action film? How would you categorize it?
No, no, it's not an action film. It's
It's got some
uh,
action in it, but how would, yeah.
yeah, but being fair to the film, and I think it might, I think people should go into it and not expecting it to be an action film. It has action, has violence, and that is a consequence of his work as a like mid-level. He's just a bare knuckle guy, and he happens to know his job. Obviously, if you've done something for 30, 40 years, then if you survive that long, you're probably good at it. But there's nothing glamorous about it. There's nothing exciting and thrilling in terms of it. It's part of his everyday job. It's like watching a mechanic do his changing tires, or a doctor, a optometrist, whatever. This is happens to be his line of work, and he even has to work on a Sunday, which and meet a priest who has a gambling debt. It's there's nothing really exciting about it. That
Would you say this movie has sort of a 70s vibe, 70s action movie vibe, where it's a lot about tone and character, and action is sort of a payoff for the I don't want to give it away, but for a climactic moment of the movie, I certainly thought of the film Rolling Thunder, for example. Is that fair? Do you like those comparisons? Are there other film comparisons of the 70s that you would embrace or
I,
admit to?
I haven't seen Rolling Thunder, so that I can't answer.
Oh.
But I have seen a lot of 70s American movies, which I happened, it was a lot of great American films were made in the 70s. It's when I went to film school, so I'm giving away how old I am. But uh, so yeah, and one way I could see that, one of the reason why he has a 70s vibe is also he has a 1970s muscle car, which is and it's not a slick, you can see he bought the car and probably used when he was 26 years old, and he looks like seven. He's kind of stuck. We all, or a lot of us anyway, we tend to get stuck when we thought we were at our best, whether in style or, your haircut, whatever. And maybe we don't change that much since that. So when he bought that car, when he got that leather jacket, he probably was in his prime, and he's kind of stuck there. His attitude, his knowledge of the world around him is also a bit stuck there. The world moved on, and he's still stuck in the 20th century. And now he's suddenly getting a brutal awakening to the 21st century. And, he knows very little about it.
All right. Yeah, so it's definitely not like a tribute movie to the 70s. It just there are some timeline things, some connective tissue to the 70s, and
Yeah.
maybe some similarities we could draw upon ourselves as astute viewers. I
And,
really yeah.
and one of the perhaps one of the things that I really like about some of the most terrific films of the 70s is the precision and the simplicity sometimes in the use of cinematic storytelling, which is rhythm and pace and placement of camera, the economy in the storytelling, in whether it's the conversation or Gene Hackman
The French
what is it
Connection?
called? Yeah, the French Connection, uh, or even in Taxi Driver, there's a cinematic ambition that is very different from today. I think in many ways, uh, at least big budget films today, cinematically have lost some of the vitality that American films had in the 70s. I think the usage of the camera as a way to explore the grammar and the language of film, and partly that has, I'm carrying on here, but it
No, I
has to
like
do
it. Yeah, I completely agree,
but
by the
but
way.
uh,
Yeah.
but it has also to do with um, the sheer volume of what we're being subjected to, which is not necessarily great cinema. I happen to think being able to tell things without, punching everything with dialogue is a great exploration of material, and it's a cinematic exploration as opposed to television, aesthetic, which is very different, I happen to like going to the movies myself, being a captive audience and giving my attention and hopefully being rewarded for sitting there, because somebody has an ambition to speak to me in a unique way, so when I make movies, I try to live in that sort of universe. And also another aspect of this film, it's we are kind of got because of the digital revolution in society, where everything is perfect. It also has affected how films look, where we become almost like hygienic and obsessed with the perfection as opposed to the flaws and imperfections that make it interesting to watch, when you look at, 1970s films, you very often you can see that dolly moves or pans and stuff are carried out by human beings, but it doesn't, if the story is captivating, you don't have a problem with that as an audience.
All right. Well, Hans, thank you so much for your time. I hope people are compelled to watch your film and maybe a 70s movie too. Maybe you'll watch Rolling Thunder after this.
I will definitely watch Rolling Thunder, but who made Rolling Thunder?
It was written by Paul Schrader, and it was written by a man named John Flynn. And it's one of the co-stars is Tommy Lee Jones.
Wow.
Quentin Tarantino's obsessed with this movie.
How did I miss this?
Well,
There's
you'll
some of my
you'll watch it after this interview.
real favorite people in it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Take